October 30th, the day before Halloween. I thought I'd dress up a little bit to stay in the, the mystery of Halloween, wearing a little mask and having fun. Hey everybody, hello, hello, hello. Hello Jamie, hello everybody. Since we can't do, hey Trudy, hey everybody, since I can't go to a real Halloween party, this is it. So I've got my little mask on and my little pearls and all that good stuff. So for today's Fortune Friday, we are going to be talking about mediumship readings. I always found it a curious thing when people said, are you a medium or are you a tarot card reader? And I'm like, my tarot cards are the medium. Like, there's no distinction. Oftentimes they think, well, tarot is just about telling the future. Tarot is just about divination. But that's not true. Tarot is about a lot of different things. Tarot is a multi-purpose tool. It is the Swiss Army knife of the other worlds, as far as I'm concerned. Hey, what's up? Hey, everybody. So I wanted to talk a little bit about my experience with using tarot from a mediumship perspective, and then kind of talk about techniques, and then maybe do some readings with our time together. I had to sit down and come up with a little outline. So if you don't mind, I have some notes. Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to all. So I picked up my first tarot deck when I was, how old was I? 14? I think I had turned 14. It was the year that O.J. Simpson pulled his runner in LA, because that's what we were watching on TV during my birthday party. And a beautiful, beautiful man gave me and bought for me my first tarot deck. It was $40. It was the most expensive thing I'd ever had at the time. And he was part of a drag queen troupe who lived on my block. So throughout my junior high and high school years, I had a wonderful, wonderful coming of age experience with these beautiful men who would make my costumes for drama for me, as well as my Renaissance fair stuff. Like, they were really wonderful. So fast forward to the summer after I graduated from high school. My aunt was living in Kansas at the time, and we drove from California to Kansas, and where she lived was in the middle of nowhere. Like, there was like a little town with maybe one gas station, and we were 15 minutes away from that. We drove 2 days straight from California to get there. And it was an old house in the middle of nowhere, probably an old farmhouse. And my aunt is tall for a woman. Maybe she's like 5'9", 5'10". And she was wearing a white dress. It was actually a dress I gave her. And the door was open and my head was down and I was unpacking, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw a tall woman in a short white dress. And I said, "Hey, Lori." And I looked up, and of course, Lori wasn't there. It was a ghost. How wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for the mask. I'm trying to be festive for Samhain, for Halloween. So it was kind of weird. It was almost like as soon as like that spirit noticed that I noticed her, she started getting very loud. So I could never pass through the hallway without her being extraordinarily loud in her presence. And she was always in the bathroom with me when I was taking showers, which kind of creeped me out. Prior to that, I had one other very large kind of ghost experience where I had physical phenomena happen, like drawers being literally pulled out from their sockets, and never happened before, never happened after. So anyways, I decided to use tarot to get a reading on this spirit in the house. Like, who are you? What's the deal? What's going on? And I wasn't sure if it was going to work, and I was amazed by how well it did work, actually. So we found out a little bit about her through the tarot. I kept seeing images of her out of the corner of my eye in the prairie that was outside of the house, behind the house. But then I think once like we understood what her story was, she kind of chilled out. So that's kind of my first story of using tarot as a mediumship, or tarot in place of a medium, or tarot as the medium. Yes, it is ghost stories. I mean, it's Halloween tomorrow. We gotta like totally do that. Thank you. Thank you. This is like the only mask that's ever worked for me, and I'm really excited about it because my eyes are a little close set. So like, I can wear this mask and look out both holes at the same time. I don't know if anyone else can feel me on that one. So, but bye, Jonathan. I know you've got to go. While I was in Philly, some of the stuff that I did do besides readings was I went and did house clearings, because in Philadelphia there are a lot of really old houses, there's a lot of old energy, and so the first thing I would do is take my tarot deck to figure out what the heck is going on in the house. And the tarot acts as a really strong capability for the spirit or the energies at play to speak. Thanks, guys. I would use tarot for house clearings, whether that is actual conscious energy or just latent energy that's sat there. It's a really good way of doing that, figuring out what the heck is going on. And also using tarot for mediumship readings. So if you do read for others and they ask you, are you a medium? You can say, even if you're not, you can say, but my deck is. So we can use tarot for that kind of specificity. So one of the things that I want to kind of get started with is talking a little bit about how a mediumship reading is different from a tarot reading. The first one is, if I can, I do have specific cards that I will use for mediumship readings or house clearing, or anything that has to do with the other realms, the other side, or anything that has to do with spirits, ghosts, entities, what have you. And the deck that I've always typically used, and I know this may seem totally kitschy for some of you, is the Zombie Tarot. So I just like it because it really is about dead people or the undead, which for me speaks well. If you're dealing with a haunted house situation, like, who the heck is here and why are you keeping us up at night? So I will use this deck specifically and only for that purpose. I do not use my Zombie Tarot for anything that's the living related. The other deck that I tend to use a lot most recently is the Crow Tarot. Just because for me, in so many ways, ravens and crows are such intermediary messengers between the other worlds and here. I mean, within the Celtic, nations and their stories, which you saw in the Game of Thrones, they took it out of older stories about the three-eyed raven and the ravens that do carry messages from the other world to here. So I will use the Crow Tarot for that work as well. Hello everyone, and welcome to all of the new people that I haven't seen. Hi, I'm so excited you're here. So once I have my deck that are like my specific other worlds kind of decks that I work with only, there's what I call an induction sequence. So when I'm often reading with clients, I will guide them through a mini guided meditation often, just to help them ground and center and focus on what it is that we are uncovering or revealing, getting revealed, and also helps me ground and center too. I'm going to tell you the one that I use. So whenever I'm seeing somebody in person, I'm having them choose their own cards from a fan that are face down. But I have them close their eyes and feel their way to the cards. And that's what I do too. I really want to keep my eyes closed because visual processing takes up a huge amount of your brain waves, your cognitive strength. This is why you see singers often will have their eyes shut. This is why you see a lot of people when they're concentrating, their eyes are closed. What they're really doing is they're rediverting the bandwidth that processing visual sight takes and moving it into these other areas. So that's another reason why I often will have my eyes closed or tell other people to close their eyes, because I really want them to focus on something else. So the one of the inductions that I do with people is I have them, or I myself, imagine that I'm standing on a stage and all the lights, the floodlights are on, and you can't see into the audience. You can't really see who's there, who's not there, and there's a spotlight on you, and there's a circle of light around you. And so what I do is I walk someone else through, or I take myself through the induction of just really visualizing that you are standing in a spotlight and you sense somebody coming and walking up on stage. Oh, thank you. So you sense someone coming up and walking on stage, but you don't turn around. You feel them, you sense them, maybe you even hear them. And you sense them until their footfalls stop right at the edge of that circle of light. So that circle of light is keeping you in one phase, in one place, and them in another. And right when we're at that closest point of meeting is when, at that point, I begin the reading. And that's when we start the readings. So for mediumship readings, I have different rules than I normally use for regular readings. For example, court cards that are reversed are the spirits. It's not a reversed court card. So if you have a queen, if you have a Queen of Swords reversed in a normal kind of reading sense, it's like, oh, she's so harsh, she's such a bee, blah, 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 whatever you think. I mean, I'm not hating on Queen of Swords. I love Queen of Swords, but you know what I mean. Like, you see the reversals usually like maybe some negative amount about them, negative aspects of them, or them out of balance in some way. But in a mediumship, a reversed court card is not like a reversed person. It is the actual spirit showing up. And the way I tend to do readings is very much like, what is that show that was really big for a while? Stranger Things, I think. Wasn't that it? With 11 and all of that. So they have this idea of the upside down, and that's actually kind of how I've always done my readings. So for me, reversals in a general reading for mediumship is specifically not about, it's still being, the card is being read upright. It's just, it's in the upside down. It's about what's happening on the other side. If that is helpful or does that make sense what I'm saying? I hope so. Majors that are reversals is work being done on the other side, karmic work being done on the other side, what have you, things that they may be doing either to support this dimension, or they're doing work in other dimensions, doing whatever they got to do. So I look at that as well. The other thing I notice when I do mediumships, and I can do pet mediumship too, which is like really lovely. Though I'm so tender-hearted, like my problem with doing mediumship readings is I'm often crying harder than the person I'm doing a reading for, because it's just, my heart is so tender. I'm just like, oh, they love you. Do you know how much they love you? And then I like lose it. When I'm doing readings for people on the other side, you know what? Actually, let me table that. One other thing that may help you doing mediumship readings for others is if you have something of someone that you are close to in life and they've passed over, and you can wear it as like a talisman of like their connection, which helps you make the connection, or they can facilitate the connection. So for example, I just saw it like this ring, this garnet ring was my grandmother's, and we were very close. So wearing something that signifies that connection that still exists, even though that other person is crossed on, helps facilitate the work that I'm doing. Okay, so back to reading for other people and whether they're close or far. One of the things I've noticed when doing readings is sometimes like spirits, like family members are like right there. They are literally like, sometimes they show up before I even say anything. Like they are literally sitting on that person. And then other times it feels like they're further away, or like they're maybe have incarnated already into another body. I don't know, but they're not here and they're harder to get. So in tarot, the way I look at that is if I do readings that get a predominantly pages and wands, which for me are very like earth-based kind of stuff, then I feel like they're really close. They're kind of on top of the person. As I start to get more into cups and swords, it does feel like they're a little further off. And then of course, any of the majors that are astrology, like sun, moon, star, any of those higher major arcana also indicate they're kind of further off. Like they're kind of like, yeah, you're good. You're good. Everything's good. I've got some stuff I've got going on over here, so I'll see you later. Couple other things. If you're not getting that person, if someone's specifically asking you, or you're specifically doing a reading, calling someone up and they're not coming, don't force it. It doesn't mean that they're not necessarily around, but it's just not, they're not wanting to talk or show up at that time. I mean, it's kind of hubris, isn't it, to think that we can just call any spirit we want and they're just going to show up like what? They got nothing better to do than to wait for us to like have them come over. So sometimes that happens. If that happens, don't force it. Don't push it. If you're reading for somebody else and sometimes the message that comes through isn't what they want, what the spirit may want to say or talk about or mention may not at all be what's on the agenda of the person who's still living. So sometimes mediumship readings can be a little disappointing for that person because they're like, where's the buried treasure? And then the spirit's like, I want to talk about why your mom did this, that, and the other. You know, who knows? Like it's still complicated people, still complicated relationships, whether they're here on this plane or not. So masculine intuition, but what if that happens and the client isn't happy? Well, my role is not to make a client happy. My role is to deliver a message. And if they want an honest message, it's not always going to be what they necessarily want. Unfortunately, that's not the role of an oracle. I'm not McDonald's. I'm not going to be able to deliver a Big Mac and fries and Coke every time. That's not the work that I do. So part of this, if we are reading for others in this way, is management of expectations before they come. So we say, hey, listen, it could be any of these things that happen. You may be at SeaWorld and Shamu is going to splash you and you're going to be wet if you want to sit in the front row. That's just the deal. Right, triple kissed. She tells her clients, I don't manage spirits, so she can't promise. Neither do me. All I'm doing is trying to like make a message come through. I'm not in control of the message. But sometimes clients aren't ready. Oh, another good thing to mention if you do readings for others, what I've noticed is oftentimes the people that are closest to the person who crossed over are often the last people to get dreams or visitations from them. And I think what's going on is that when you have high emotion, high grief, it's like they can't get through that grief to be heard. That might also be why, as some of you may have had this experience where you've had a spirit or something crazy happen in a dream through like a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend, like a fourth degree person that you barely even know, but somehow you have the message for them. And it's like, why? And it's because you're the only one not so upset that the spirit can't get through and give you that message. So that might be another reason too. So they're saying, I'm really upset and I don't know why everyone's getting dreams from grandpa, but not me. It could be specifically because of that issue right there. So, okay, moving forward. Um, I've been waiting for a dream from someone for a really long time, and I'm really pissed off because I'm like, come on, girl, I need you to come visit me. um, when it comes to how tarot readings for mediumship work for me and how maybe a medium themselves work, it can often be different because sometimes I'll get clients or get people that will say, well, can't you just channel them and give me a message? But I like to break that up into different kinds of readings. So we can do a spread that's just messages, like what are the specific messages over here. We can do readings about who or what they are and make sure that we've connected. And then finally, like a reading about what happened, because sometimes those that are still on this dimension have some questions about how things went. Was this person okay? What did they pass in their sleep? So for me, oftentimes those are very separate. Those are all individual spreads that I like to pull apart and look at specifically. The one way I do that is I will do a kind of 6-card spread. Kind of off of that Stranger Things riff where you have, it's kind of like, it looks like a fraction equation, which I'll have 3 cards on top and 3 cards below, but they don't necessarily interact with one another. So it's kind of like the upside down and the upside up, the downside up. I don't know how you say that. Bye, masculine. I'm glad you can always watch the replay later. So what I may do is do 3 cards that are like the message for the person, the querent, and then below that 3 cards about what's going on with that spirit or individual at that time. But other than that, what I kind of mentioned so far, the readings tend to take on like any kind of normal reading, but I'm always looking for specificity. Sometimes I will get a very strong, what I call impingements, like just someone just like leaning on my head, like just a really strong mental image, and I know that it's not a clairvoyant hit as much as it is a message from the other side on some level. Often times they just feel different to me. And they feel like they are coming from the left side, like if that makes any sense, like they're coming from here, and that often for me is an indicator that that's a message. In general, and maybe because I don't want to, I am not one of those kind of like mediumship / clairvoyant / tarot readers that necessarily gets bothered by ghosts. I really have to invite them in for the most part. Sometimes that's not the case, but often it is, because I really just can't be bothered. I'm extremely private person for ghosts or anyone else. So Trudy asks me if I've ever had an energy that I didn't want to interact with. Yes, when I was much, much younger. And that's where the physical phenomena started to happen with silver drawers being pulled out on their own, and that's a whole other story for like a whole other IG live. But it didn't end until we moved out of the house. Triple Kiss, are you giving me a mediumship reading? Did my grandmother have matching earrings with a ring? You know what? I don't know. I do not know at all. I will ask my mother and see if she did. And if she did, I want them. I want the matching set. You're asking with a client. Did I ever have energy I didn't want to interact with a client? That's a really interesting question. I need to give this a thought. I can think like twice maybe. But I also think there were a lot of other things going on in those individuals' lifestyles where they were really leaving themselves open, and also playing around with things and not being careful. So a lot of boundary issues, both metaphysically and physically. Um, but typically, no, I would say mostly it's family and friends and family plan. So I'd like to do a mediumship reading or two just to kind of show what it is that I've been talking about so far. Does anybody have a someone they'd like me to read for? Yes, Clara. Is seeing spirits all right something you were born with? Or, I think that you can develop anything, any of these gifts at any time. In the same way that I was not born with algebra capability. I think it's the same. Singing, math, art, all of this are skill sets that some people are naturally more talented. Like, I'm never going to sound like Adele, no matter how much I try. She's obviously born with a gift, but that doesn't mean I can't sing either. And I think all of us are capable of learning and training if this is something that we want to do. Absolutely. I don't think, and I really take, umbrage with those that try to say, oh, I'm the seventh generation. Like, okay, that's cool, but someone can be a zero generation and be a hell of a good reader, a hell of a good reading medium. Doesn't necessarily have to be that way. Clara, I want a specific person, not just if anyone, because that gets really random. So think about it. So lovely Jamie asks, you would love a message from your dad or grandmother. Pick one for me, darling. Because like I said, when I do the induction phase, I'm specifically kind of like, ollie ollie oxen for someone specific, because I don't just want randoms. Okay, Clara, feel close to my maternal grandmother and grandfather. Okay, let me try your maternal grandmother. Give me a sec. So I'm going to do that induction phase that I said, that real brief kind of meditative phase, and I'll pull 3 cards and we'll see. So, Clara, the thing that I'm wondering about and I'm getting is that as I had her show appear, I got the word voice around it, and I don't know if that's actually a physical thing or a metaphorical thing, in that there were times where she really struggled with when to lean into her voice and like be strong and when to back off and not. Either that or something with maybe even smoking or the throat. I'm not sure which one, but that's what I'm getting really specifically. Let me pull the 3 that I have. Clara. Look, so remember everyone what I said about things that are reversed in mediumship readings are just kind of like about what's going on for them on the other side. Well, look what I pulled. The first card is Death Reversed. But when we see Death Reversed, we see the crow flying away or flying below the dead body. So the message is this: I'm good. I'm great. Matter of fact, I'm wonderful. We have strength upright. And we have 9 of Pentacles. I don't know if she liked to garden, Clara, but for me, this is the gardener card. Oh, she died of complications from smoking. Okay. Okay, yeah. I was like, I'm getting something voice, throat. I don't know what the deal is here. I wasn't sure which one it was. She wants you to know that she's awesome. She's A-okay. And I feel like, I feel like this message is all about her. It's kind of like she's like, I'm good. Like, it's almost like she doesn't really have anything to say to you about you. She was a gardener. Cool. Yeah, she's like, I've got my little patch and I'm like having a good time. And when I see like death like this, and then such happy cards that come after, what I really see is somebody who maybe had a tough life and is really enjoying not having a tough life right now and just really just enjoying themselves, if that makes any sense. So I feel like if you worry about her, this whole reading is saying absolutely do not worry at all. She had a hard life. Well, she doesn't now. Like, to me, this is all about this brightness in the afterlife that she's just having a good time and enjoying. Yeah, yeah. So the cool thing about mediumship too is oftentimes how they're saying it and what they're saying alludes to the life that they had before in an indirect kind of way. Oh geez, guys, I'm gonna have to really scroll up here and find the next person in line. Okay, lovely Jamie. I think you are next. You want a reading about your father, is that correct? All right, let me do lovely Jamie's father. Okay, lovely Jamie. I do wonder, the thing I'm getting specifically is something around the shoulder here. I don't know if you had rotator cuff issues or there were lymph node issues, but I'm getting something here. I don't know if that makes any sense to you. I'm also wondering, lovely Jamie, if there was something around his temper, because I'm getting like temper, or that in later years he really worked to quell the temper. Is kind of something I'm getting around there. Oh, yeah, I'm having issues in that area. Oh, you're having issues in shoulder, not him. Interesting. Okay. Is your mother still alive, lovely Jamie? Because he's talking about, we have Queen of Wands reversed. So this is talking about a woman in his life. That's the message. He's talking, so it could be either you or her, perhaps. This message is from my fiery woman, the fiery queen in my life. The moon reversed. Wow. So this is talking about, I wonder, lovely Jamie, if you as a child had a lot of nightmares or a lot of bad dreams or if you still do, because for me that moon reversed is like him saying, I'm doing work from a dream perspective. I'm doing work in dreams. I'm repairing people's dreams. Final card. Two of Cups. Oh, he loves you so much. My feeling is that things were maybe difficult or complicated between the two of you, or maybe that there were things that didn't get to be said, or things that didn't get to be understood between the two of you, because what I'm actually getting with him is like this kind of furrowed face, like I'm like, you know, it just didn't happen like I needed it to happen, or we didn't connect like I wanted it to connect. But I really want you to know that I love my girls very, very much, more than maybe I was even capable of expressing. It's just a real reiteration of like connection here. I've got to keep these mediumship readings short, but that is your reading, Jamie. who's next after that? Let me get back up to, you know, none of you guys use the little special thing. I should make you guys. So Robbie Sue, hi Robbie Sue. Oh, Robin S. Hey, your father never comes through, but my mother does. Can you try my father first? Okay. Robin, I'm wondering, I'm not sure if this is him or not. I'm getting something around water. I'm getting something like watercolored, like a dark teal. I don't know, was he into fishing or did he like the shore? I'm getting something around water. Does that make any sense to you? I'm also wondering if he had any issues with, I always have a hard time with this. It's like the innards. And I'm like, is it kidney? Is it pancreas? Is it liver? What is it? But I'm getting something with the middle part of him. I don't know if that was an issue in life for him. Okay, so what I'm seeing here. Well, I think the message is that he's good. We have the Emperor showing up. I feel like he's still trying to call the shots from the other side. I don't know if that makes sense to you. Or he's still like, I'm still wanting to make sure that things are okay or like things are moving in the way that they're moving. Five of Cups does show up. I do feel like that's some kind of regret on his end or something he regretted about doing. Possibly we get 10 of Wands. I wonder if this is regret about maybe how hard he had to work or something about him being convinced about what he needed to do that really kept him from spending as much time connecting like he wanted to. It's interesting that he hasn't come through because all of the cards indicate that he's still fairly close-ish to the situation, still around. And I feel that there's something going on here with some other person in your family that he's concerned about or connected with, and I don't know what it is, but I don't think it's you. I'm actually getting a male. Does that make sense? But like I'm watching for this person, I'm managing, like I'm kind of helping them through, even if it doesn't seem so. I'm kind of still around. So that's kind of interesting. It could be your brother. I'm not sure. Robbie, he passed from prostate and bone cancer. Okay. So that's definitely, there must have been something within the middle that I was specifically picking up. Now, the one thing I do want to say for those of you who do mediumships or want to do mediumship readings is sometimes things will come through or things are said where someone like Robbie C was saying, Robbie's saying like, that doesn't make sense to me. I don't know what that means. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's wrong. It just may mean that the message needs to sit for a while. Because I've had tons of people that I've done readings for and they're like, nope, that makes no sense to me at all. I have no clue what you're saying. You're a hack, Jenna. And then they leave. And then I get an email 2 or 3 months later of them going, oh crap, I realized it was this one thing. So sometimes it's like that, or sometimes we don't have all the information. So we may be like, oh no, that's not how they were, or that's not how that went. But if we asked another family member, they would be like, no, you're missing this piece of information. It actually does make sense because of ABC. So I would say if something doesn't necessarily make sense, it could later on. And then sometimes we get other spirits that show up besides the ones that we've invited, and they can get really annoying. I did a party, an online party, where I did a mediumship reading for someone. And I was like, who's this person? Who's this person? Who's this person? She's like, that's not my mom. That's not my mom. That's not my mom. And she was like, is it my neighbor? And I'm like, no, but I feel like it's somebody else. So for some reason, somebody else who's connected and coming through for her really wanted to dominate the conversation. And it wasn't her mom. I hope she figured out who it was, because I was like, I don't know what to tell you. But what I never do is I never push, and I never have other people who are clients try to fill in information for me, because that's not a reading. That's trying to fill something in that may not necessarily be true or accurate. So if it doesn't make sense necessarily in the beginning, I say, hold on to it, later it may. But I don't go, oh yeah, must be your brother, must be, or must be your sister instead of your mom. Unless I'm like getting a real hard hit on this, like, is their name Sharon? And they go, yes. Then I'm like, well, maybe, but I don't want to necessarily pin my little tail on the donkey from that perspective, just because I've been really wrong when I have tried to fill in the gaps sometimes. And so I try to be really careful with that. Oh yeah, I think I'm going to do one more reading. I don't even know how much time we have left. I need to get another alternate clock in this room. So I'll do one more, and then answer any other questions about mediumship readings if we have time, if that's okay for everybody. Let's see here. I'm going to go all the way back, back. Okay, so our final one is for Magic Door Tarot. Your sister Norma, you're going to be the last one I'm going to do. If you're still here. I think you are. I saw a heart. I hope that was yours. Okay, Magic Door Tarot. So the first thing I'm getting with Norma, I'm not sure which one it is. I'm getting something around child or childhood. And I feel like it could have two possible meanings, and I'm not sure which one it is. Either she was lost in childhood, or she died in childbirth, or complications around childbirth. Or there's small children still around. There's something around childhood that I'm getting with this. But I feel she's a little hard for me to grab. My sense is she's a little further away than close, which often is an indicator that she's someone that's been gone a while. And I keep getting child. So she is, I mean, not if, she is gone, but I wonder if there is a child or a child of hers that's also on the other side with her. She's been gone for 15 years. Okay. The other weird thing I'm getting is, like, was she kind of nitpicky about some things? Like, really persnickety about really specific things? Like, no, that's not teal. That's blue-green, not green-blue. Like, you're just like, okay, whatever. Does that make any sense? Okay, your niece. Yes, Page of Cups is coming up. This must be the niece. I feel like this is probably the daughter, right? Because Page of Cups is often a young girl. She was a Virgo. Okay. So Page of Cups, young girl, concerned about a young girl. So I wonder if this is connected to your niece in some way, because it's an upright court card. It's her talking about somebody who's alive. I'm getting, like, the Sun, and I feel like all of this must be around the niece. I'm getting the Sun, Page of Cups, and I'm getting Hermit. When I see these three, I'm almost feeling like it's her saying, what happened to my bright girl? Like, what's going on with her? Like, she's shifted. She's maybe too isolated, or, like, there's something going on with her, but there is definitely concern. I feel like the Sun to Page of Cups, a Hermit. I do feel also like what I'm seeing here is, I feel like your sister is acting as the Hermit, like her holding the lamp. like I am trying to be a ray of light to guide your niece, her daughter, perhaps like through something, or I'm trying to take an active role in bringing light and bringing sun into this. So I feel like the sense I get from looking at this reading is, that's another thing, is sometimes when people cross on to the other side, they become very, very different than who they were in life. Because sometimes who we are in life, we are trapped by addictions. We are trapped by our own egos. We're trapped by our own BS and our family crap. But when we become pure spirit, you know, like we kind of let that go. And oftentimes we will perceive somebody on the other side who it's still them, but without the crap, if that makes any sense. And what I'm seeing here, and why I'm saying all of that, is what I'm sensing here is a very, very positive kind of spirit, but I'm not sure she necessarily was in life as much as she could have been. So I feel like there's been a shift there, and it's a good one. And I hope that that connects and makes sense and is helpful. So those are all of the mediumship readings I'm going to do today. But if you want one, you know where to find me and get a session with me. Also, I did want to say, my friends, I have really big news I would like to share. I have my book proposal. A tarot book has been accepted by a major publisher. I don't really want to say into the contract, ink is dried, but I have really good news. I'm really, really excited. So you guys are the first to publicly know that. So yay for us, all of us. I hope that you'll love my book once it comes out. Yeah, yay. So, does anyone have any other questions? Thank you. Does anyone else have any questions around, tarot mediumship? Anything I can help with? Thank you guys. Thank you. Yeah, I'm really excited. Now the pressure of writing it. Oh my God. Thank you. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions around mediumship readings? How to conduct them? How do they feel? Or anything I can repeat from what I've said earlier? Fee MYK says, when did mediumship and tarot come to be for you? Ooh, that's good. You know what? I would have to say I had mediumship show up for me before tarot. Tarot came late in the game of capabilities, because tarot is a tool, and the way that I liken it is I was like a natural artist, but then I had to go to art school, and I was like, what are these rules? Ugh! But then it made me a better artist overall. So tarot has made me a better intuitive, but I was naturally proficient before tarot. But tarot has now just become the way that my natural capacities and tarot are so like intertwined now that I just, there's no way I'd want to do one without the other. Can you use Lenormand cards? Robin, that is an amazing question. And I haven't tried it, but I'm going to now. I bet you can. Why not? Why the heck not? For me, tarot doesn't have like the court card, or I mean not tarot, Lenormand doesn't have the court cards, which I really use specifically with mediumship readings a lot. And it lacks some of the major arcana psychological stuff. But I think Lenormand would probably work really well for like specific messages to the living in that way. Anybody else have any questions for me? I'm like, oh, I can't even see. Oh, thank you. Thank you for the kind words. All right, if everyone is good and there's no more questions, I'm going to let you all run off to your very merry Halloween. There will be no Fortune Friday next week. I will be on vacation. relaxing. So after that, in November, I have two very special Fortune Fridays. I will have Jamie Alford on with her book, and we're going to talk about that. And then also I have Chrisanne Donnelly of Spirit Keeper. So we've got some really great people coming on this upcoming month, and I hope I see you in a Friday in the future in fall. So thank you all. Have a wonderful, wonderful, happy Samhain, happy Halloween, and fingers crossed for all of us in this election. Please stay safe, please be well, and wear your mask, my dears. The one below, maybe not that one. Bye, guys.